Hello and welcome to the Rose Rehash. That's right. Every Tuesday night after the Bachelorette, we're going to go through the big story of the show, the best moment, and I'm going to give out awards. And listen, people, a fantastic premiere event. I love the limo episode. I love the opening episode. It has energy, it has movement, it has fun. And I thought tonight was a great one as well. And what I want you to do, I'm going to be here with you all season. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Subscribe. Hit like, comment. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree with what I'm saying? I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think because I go through these comments and listen, I'm coming on here right after watching the show and I'm being like, here are my really just new opinions on the show. And sometimes I think them over and I go, maybe they were right. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I saw it differently than someone else. And then I go, oh, okay, opinions change. So I want to hear from you in the comments and let me know. Tonight's big story is all about the ghost of social media fame. That is something that has crept its way into the first episode more and more each season. And we saw two very big examples of it. Earlier in the episode, they had Caitlin and Tayshia sneaking into all the guys' rooms to go check them out. And they're joking around, hey, maybe we'll find something. They're, the blue light, and we'll see if they're clean or they're messy or they're. And they walk in on Ryan, the raisin farmer, who looks like a hamster's room. And they find a notebook of crib notes to be a Bachelor superstar. And it's pretty cut and dry to me that this guy came on for fame, which is an understandable thing. I understand why Michelle would be upset by that, but I also understand why everyone else would have ulterior motives when they come on the show. Michelle is getting paid to be there. Michelle is getting her fame. Michelle has, quote unquote, made it, has gotten this lotto ticket that hit the big one. And let me start by saying Michelle was fantastic this episode. Huge fan of Michelle. She handled this like a teacher because they bring up Ryan, the raisin farmer, and they see the notes, and it's like, you have to have a big personality. On this season, you have the Ben Higgins season, the best people said this, and you should not say this. The notes were very thorough, but a huge mistake on his part even bringing them. But when I'm Michelle and I hear about the notes, I go, okay, let's look into this. She brings them up to the room. She reads through the notes herself. It was like a teacher checking the homework on someone she thought cheated off of their, a friend of theirs at home. It was like Ryan's parents did the homework and she had to check up on it and she just didn't buy it. And I loved watching her in this moment. And at that moment, she lets Ryan go and you understand it. And you understand this is cut and dry. This is someone that, isn't even really giving me the attention. I am third place to him being on screen, him having his moment. Then it's maybe I'll find a lady. So, and I do understand where Michelle doesn't want to be in a position where she offers her love to someone, goes all the way to the end, brings her parents in, brings all these people in, and then she has to say, wait, you don't want to be serious? You came here with notes. Now you have the other side of the coin. Joe is from her hometown. Joe is a former Division I basketball player from Minneapolis. You would think this is some sort of match situation, someone that'd be a good prospect. Michelle sees him when he gets out of the limo and goes, I recognize you. How do I know you? Now, I thought Joe played this wrong off the bat. If I'm Joe, I go, yeah, remember sliding into my DMs? He kind of played it off like something had happened. And Michelle says, Joe walks away. Michelle goes, I DM'd that guy before. And she looks at Caitlin and Tayshia and she goes, he kind of ghosted me. Now, she goes, we DM'd about basketball and then he ghosted. I would need to see the specifics of the DM to make a real opinion on the matter. But when you use the word ghosted with someone you've never met, to me, you've gone to a level that you're like, I don't think this is the definition of ghosting. To me, ghosting is you've had sex with someone and you never speak to them again. To someone else, ghosting might be we went on a date and then they never called or texted. Ghosting is on this really wide spectrum. to say ghosting is because we DM'd and it didn't work out, I would need to see the specifics. Now, I do believe Michelle because Joe wasn't exactly like straight up about it. Joe was like, "Oh, maybe you know me, maybe you don't." Like at that point, I'd be like, I would have said because I wouldn't have found anything wrong with it. Joe obviously found something wrong to not be as upfront as he should have been. But Michelle made such an issue out of this where you go, are we too much worried of the social media fan? Because I do understand from Michelle's point of view. She sits down Joe, and you have to understand, you have to go, if she says, you ghost me, what's different now? Well, what's different is I have a TV show where you have a lot of things in common with me that you could kind of fool me into thinking that you're in love with me, but you really want fame and success and to be on TV. I can understand why that's her thought, but it is interesting that because Joe had a pretty good reason. He references, George Floyd Square, where he has real estate investments, and there were murders there in the area, and it was a tough time for him, and all legitimate things that could be going on in someone's life. And she's like, Michelle gives him a lot of credit for bringing this up and talking about going to therapy. And you go, sometimes DMing cannot work out. I can understand things get busy. Or you're talking about basketball and you're talking about basketball with someone who's cute and you might be seeing someone else at the time and you go, I'm talking to them about basketball, but it's really, I'm in something else and I should probably stop this before it gets too serious because she seems kind of cool. And then that breaks up and then you go on the Bachelorette. That's a perfectly reasonable explanation. And it's the trials and tribulations of dating in 2021. So it is interesting that you have Michelle who always is dealing with the little thing in the back of her head of like, is this person here for the right reasons? And Ryan and Joe are two very different cases that are kind of treated the same way. Let's go to tonight's best moment. The best moment of the first episode are the entrances. I'm going to read through all the entrances that we had. We had we had we had Clayton get out with a ruler to be spanked. Little weird. We had we had the school bus. A guy get out of a school bus with shorts on, like he was her child or something. We had a guy pull out Mardi Gras beads that looked like anal beads that turned into him asking to see her boobs. Didn't seem to work. We had the bikini tux that got referenced, and then that guy just disappeared. Did he put on pants? We had the platter guy, Rick, coming in with his head coming out of the platter like it was the Addams Family. That seemed to work. We had Ryan, as we just went over, the Ryan the raisin farmer, coming in with the ice cream truck that he had researched for her. We had Rodney dressed as the apple. We had Peter making the pizza. The pizza was, Peter's going to go full New Jersey Italian guy for the whole season. This is a move that Italian people from New Jersey like to do. And he's from Miami, but when Italian becomes your whole personality, like, okay, we've seen it. Cannoli, pizza. We get it, Peter. We had the toy fire engine from Daniel, and then the best moment of the night was Daniel coming in on the toy fire engine. He's squatting in a way that would make me fart right away. And then he has a nice moment. You go, this was fun. Good for Daniel. Then all of a sudden, PJ comes in on an actual fire truck. And just, it was Daniel's reaction to the actual fire truck made me laugh, like to the point where Daniel's sitting there. He's like, "Oh, what's going on? Oh, it's a real fire. So there's another firefighter. Is he good looking?" Like it was just such a great moment to see him have to react to that. Then you had the guy come on the bed. We had Jamari rip off his sleeves, and then it ends with Joe looking familiar. So a lot of great entrances. Dan in the toy car that ended up being taken out by the actual fire engine was an all-time classic moment. Just he was like, wait, there's another firefighter? He's like, and because when you're a firefighter, I would have to imagine on this show, you go, oh, no one's going to have my entrance. No one's going to have the firefighter puns. And now you're up for grabs with another firefighter looking to do the same puns. Like, it's got to be horrible. Let's give out some awards. Now, the Batchies is where I give out roses to my favorites and divorce papers to my least favorites. We'll start with the roses. My first rose goes to Joe Mari. Joe Mari has the deepest voice I've ever seen on this show. He should be in a barbershop quartet. Every time he spoke, I wanted him to go boom, 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 boom. It was amazing. I love his voice. It makes everyone else seem like they're prepubescent. Joe Mari, you're winning already. The next rose goes to Ryan's note taker. Now, Ryan got outed for having crib notes on how to be a good Bachelor contestant. He mumbled and he stumbled his way to some sort of explanation. A friend did the notes, but he helped with the notes. Then he's never seen the show. That was all bullshit. But the notes were very good. The notes went back to Ben Higgins' season. He had a notebook larger than I have to even prepare for this show, and this is my life. Like, he had one of the notes legitimately gave him advice on how to be less of a douchebag. Whoever wrote that note was more honest with him than anyone's ever been with my life. They were like, yeah, you're a little cocky and you come off bad. Why don't you not do that? It's like, if someone said that to me, I'd be horrified. I'd be a shell of myself. I wouldn't be able to come on the show. I'd be like, I have to go make up with all my friends. They all hate me. They think I'm a narcissistic asshole. The next rose goes to Michelle. Great opening for Michelle. I loved her. I loved that she went into teacher mode with Ryan and Joe. She got answers to questions. I also like that she has a career. I like that Minneapolis is going to play a part in this season. I like that there isn't this I don't know what we're going to do after. It seems like Michelle knows what she wants to do after this show. She knows where she's going. She knows where she wants to live, where she wants to base her life. I'm a Katie fan, and I thought she did a good job, but it did show this episode how much a life direction was missing from that season. There's an actual direction of life that Michelle is sitting there going, get on the bus or don't. And I like that about this. Let's give the divorce papers. The first divorce paper is going to go to the word ghosting. What's ghosting? If you DM with someone and it doesn't work out, is that ghosting? If you have sex with someone and they don't speak to you again, is that ghosting? If I go out for dinner with my mom and don't speak to her for 3 months, is that ghosting? We need to get on board with figuring out definitions for hot topic words. I understand. You want to sound like you're in the know. You want to sound like, oh, I get it. Dating in 2021, ghosting, breadcrumbing, what's it called? Gaslighting. You want to be at the front of all the hip language. But let's just admit that you hurt the language when you don't use it correctly. The idea that Joe ghosted Michelle, and honestly, we don't know what happened. I do agree. Joe did look like he was kind of being a little too cagey about it, so something may have been said more than just talking basketball. But to refer to him as ghosting you and make it into this serious event, it felt like a little too much for someone that you could have a good connection with. He's there. The next divorce paper goes to Caitlin and Tayshia. This ain't it. You ain't the host. I'm sorry. It's just not working. They opened the show by looking at Michelle and waving their engagement rings at her like, you think you're going to get one of these? You think you're good enough? You think you're ready? And it's like, why don't we not treat engagement as if it's a goal? If you're not engaged, you're some sort of loser. Let's stop treating it like a prize, and let's start treating it like a decision with the rest of your life that you want to make with the right person. Oh, do you think you're going to get one of these? Every time Caitlin and Tayshia bumped their way into this show, it was a clunky, written ride that it felt like they were reading script and never really made sense. It's time for them to go. The one thing they did was find out that Ryan, the raisin farmer, had some notes, but They didn't even tell her before she could make a connection with him. If you're really here to host, if you really care about her, don't you go to Michelle right away and go, hey, and there's a guy named Ryan who has notes, so don't go and hang out in his ice cream trip that he's going to do and, get your heart broken. The last divorce papers are going to go to the elementary school children. Michelle's students were so judgy about Michelle's decision to go onto The Bachelorette that I was actually in shock. Your teacher wants to find love, and you're asking questions like, how many people are you dating? I guess if you're going to kiss that many boys to find your love. They all turned into these Jewish grandmothers with passive aggressive statements. I guess if you got to kiss all of them and that's what you need to do, I guess. Oh, how many boys? Oh, you're leaving? Well, and it's like, what? Not one of them was like, hey, Miss Michelle, good luck. Have a great season. We hope you find the right one. We hope that nobody comes on the show to be famous and they come on to find love with you because we love you too, Michelle. None of them did that. None of them really wished her well. And it needs to be acknowledged. That's our show. We'll be back next week. Boom.